OM System bought Olympus for about $47 about 7 years ago. With that company, they've turned mud into filth. They just had the gall to release an OM1 Mark II, which is 3 marks short of a Mark IV if it was a foot. An Olympus Sigma lens that's heavier than the full frame version for like 4 times the cost, and an updated little, I loved that little lens, the 9-18. All they did was shave some silver off the thing. Oh, I think there was a meeting. Alright, fellas, it's been about 3 years since we bought the Olympus company, and people are starting to notice we haven't actually released anything new. It's time to wow the audience. Do we have anything in the factory from the Olympus thing? I know it was like half blown up and decrepit, and it's like taken over by nature, but there was some stuff in there, right? Yeah, totally, boss. There was so much tech in that warehouse. You wouldn't believe the stuff we've been working on, just like reverse engineering it. We're coming with an OM1 Mark II, actually. Do you want to know the specs? Johnson, you mad scientist genius, I knew when I hired you for $15 an hour that would pay off. What do we have? We have something to kill this Nikon Z6 III coming? Or a Sony A7S III killer? What do we got? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to get your hopes up. It's the same camera as the OM1, but we were able to find some chips of RAM in one of the dresser drawers in the basement. And so like we super glued it onto the CPU, and now we can like make the little electronic ND a little higher. Doesn't work for video, so it has no actual use, but we also were able to raise the price. Huh? I am a fan of profits, but what are the new specs? Like 4K 120 or something? Are we the first company to do full HD 480 frames per second? Oh god, no. It's 4K 60, but imagine an Olympus OM1 with more RAM. And now we can actually move the human subject detection from menu 7 over to 4. So now it's like it was so much less confusing. Surely like one spec increased, right? 4K 70 frames per second? Boss, let me level with you. This factory that you bought for $47, it was infested with bats, mice. There was 3 kangaroos. They ate most of the chips. There was literally no tech here. There was 7 employees. 6 of them were working on IBIS only. The one guy, he couldn't even see out of his left eye. This was one of the worst deals we've ever got, and we're salvaging what we could. We have nothing. We're basically starting from scratch here, and I think we're pretty proud of ourselves for making an OM1 basically just like Olympus did. More RAM though. We found the RAM. A deer was chewing on a piece of it, but we have it now. We took the deer. It's one of our pets. He boosts morale. The deer's gonna eat all our sushi. You piece of shit.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
So we've been waiting for OM System to do something new. It seems that they bought Olympus, and then Olympus had already been working on like the OM1 that was already there, and a couple of things, the 150 to 400. They had a couple lenses in the pipeline. It's like, okay, we'll take over that from here. And then what are they going to do from now on? What are they going to invent? Are they going to like shut down the business or put more money into it and grow it to be one of the new leaders of our industry? No. They've done nothing. Every release has been something that's already existed, and the only thing they're changing is the name. They literally just scratch out Olympus and carve in frickin' OM System, one of the worst names ever picked by a president. This thing sets back the camera industry 14 years by my calculations. It's one of the most puzzling releases of this year. It's pretty early in the year, but I doubt this will be beaten for like, what the hell were they thinking type of releases. The lens 150 to 600 is a Sigma replica. I looked it up. The full frame version, same exact specs. It's lighter than this new one. I don't understand that. And it's like $939 new. There was a $600 one. And this lens, for some reason, is $2,700 and heavier. What's heavier about it? Why is it heavier? It's the same formula. It's just like their 100 to 400. That's a Sigma lens. And you wonder why it didn't sync stabe, because it's Sigma. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They have the worst stabe in the business. And this thing says sync stabe, but the IBIS of the OM1 II is 8.5 stops. But if you use our lens, you can get sync stabe up to 7 stops. How is it sync stabe removing 1.5 stops? Where's the syncing in that dance? It's gone. So like the 100 to 400 did not sync. The Sigma lenses on Panasonic, because they're in an L-mount alliance, it says sync stabe, dual sync on the menu box of your screen, but it's shaky as hell, so it's not actually working. I have a feeling that's what's going to happen in this lens. You're at 1200 mil. That's going to be shaky as hell. And Tony 12.6 on the long end. What are we doing? It's so expensive. If you want, that's like the most expensive wildlife setup you could get, and you're basically getting a third-party Sigma design from 20 years ago. The only thing I can see that they improved is the IBIS. It's now 8.5 stops. No, I don't remember what the old one was, but it's better in some way. Take any Olympus camera from 10 years ago and it was the best stabe in the business. Like, who cares? That's the only thing you've been working on, and you haven't even leapfrogged the Panasonic G9 II probably with their electronic algorithms. I'm failing to understand a world in which this would be purchased by someone who's not a complete moron and hasn't like done any research. Like, oh, that's a long reach. I'll buy it. How much is that? Wow. Okay, whatever. Like, what are you doing? In the 9 to 18? Look, that's a fun lens. It's tiny for that kind of zoom range, in 18 to 36 or something. So light, but the Tony's 4 to 5.6. Ow. Tony 8 to 11.2. Full frame, tonne wise. The only thing they changed was it's like black now. It looks a slightly bit more modern, and it's OM system on the barrel. Nothing changed. No formula. You didn't speed up the Tonys. You didn't reduce the weight. You didn't do anything to it. It's the same lens. It's a kit lens, basically, with those specs, and it's $700. You've had a bad day, OM system. So in the 3 years that OM system has been in charge of Olympus, they have made a rubberized dial. So now the front dial has a piece of rubber on it that they found next to the RAM in the dresser drawer that the deer let them have because he threw it up because he couldn't digest the rubber. So he has a little rubber thing. The IBIS, which is slightly better, likely just due to the algorithms. It's not even a new mechanism. They just figured out some computing technology with AI. They probably just searched it in Chat GPT, how to improve the algorithm. Do this. And then they did that. You have a super heavy, expensive lens that is worse than anything known to man. And then another tiny little kit lens for $700 that does, like, it's black now. It'll overheat in the sun somehow. The first lens to ever overheat. There's a lot of APS-C options that are cheaper and lighter than this Micro Four Thirds setup, no matter what you choose. Maybe if you're going only wide angle with that zoom and you don't care about light hitting your sensor ever, you could survive. But like the telephoto, you go with a Fuji XS20 and the 70-300, you're not getting anywhere near as much reach, but you have enough reach and it's good enough and it's gonna look way better. You have Fuji X-T4 specs in a twice the cost body with no lenses. I'm disappointed. Any system, you name it, they have something that destroys this for less money and less weight. What is the Micro Four Thirds advantage when you're bringing a full frame Sigma lens, making it heavier somehow, and charging 5 times the cost? I'm a worried man today that they're just going to continue on making sushi with farmed salmon, not even the healthy stuff. And where do we go from here? So all we can do is wait for the OM Sushi to emerge from the lake and give us something to dream about. 4K 240p, 10 megapixel sensor in there, 15 stops of IBIS, a dynamic range boost mode, AI dynamic range boost, 20 stops. I think OM System will be the first to accomplish these feats. No, I don't. They have literally a deer is their employee of the month. They're done for. I see nothing on the horizon. This is bad. So I'm going to leave. What do you think? What the hell was that? I had to get out of bed for this. I'm going back to bed right now. How you doing? You subscribing for more videos? See you next.